I'm a biophysical scientist, and I'm a molecular biologist and working in plant breeding. And I didn't really know the role of women and men and how that differed in agriculture and what that meant for research until I joined the Next Gen Cassava project. And there I started working on the gender initiative and really had a nice flexible space where I could explore that and explore what gender meant for the cassava breeding program and how we could reach men and women and how we could improve their lives through better breeding products. And what I really learned was I needed to know a lot more about gender to be able to do that. And when I started looking at courses, when I started exploring where I could go, who I could talk to, was there any short course, was there any program I could go and learn more about gender beyond what I could read online, I didn't really find anything that suited that niche. How can we teach scientists like myself the basic theories, the basic practice around gender responsive research so they can go out and do what they do better and with more equitable outcomes? This is really needed because a lot of the donors, a lot of the researchers themselves were asking for this, and yet there wasn't a space to do that in. And after that, we really started thinking, what are the essentials that we need to deliver? Because we can't expect scientists to become gender experts in 2 weeks. That's kind of not really realistic. So what are the basics that we need to confer? What are the understandings that what makes the aha moment for the researchers really real? And how can we get that in a limited time? We brought in the social scientists to work with the biophysical scientists. And also that they had to go to the field and experience it themselves. It was a lot of theory you could go to. There was a lot of theoretical gender training where people went for 2-3 days, learned about gender, learned about the key concepts, but until they went and did the research themselves, it wouldn't really dawn on them how important this was. And over again, we hear that from participants. They went to the field, they talked to women, and they didn't really realize the constraints that they were under or how they themselves could have an impact in those people's lives directly. So that link was kind of what we want to strengthen. The idea is to move from gender aware, as we say, gender sensitive, gender aware, gender responsive, gender transformative. Our space is more in the responsive, so we're trying to get researchers to not only recognize the needs of men and women, but also design for them and answer to that. Eventually hoping that that will lead to transformative outcomes, because as a researcher, once they see the impact of what they can do and how they can change the way they do their research and how the impacts can be so much greater, I feel once that mindset changes, they don't go back. As a young woman working in the agricultural sciences, you do often find yourself in the minority. So there are a lot of men who work, and they're very supportive mentors that can be women or men, but you still feel like you are a minority. And I think that sets you up to really think about your position in society, think about yourself as a woman, as a professional woman. And I did grow up in Turkey where I mean, there are a lot of gender roles and responsibilities which are quite traditional, and so you grow up with that sense, and you grow up as a professional as you're trying to develop yourself in a more male-dominated field. I think I've always been sensitive to gender issues and trying to find ways how to deal with those personally and in my environment and in kind of my country as a whole. So it's always been something that's been important to me. So coming into a project where that went from a personal sphere to a professional sphere was amazing, because I thought, I don't have to just think about this outside of work. I can actually work on this. I can make some change. I can actually, not spend my spare time reading news articles about it, but I can put my time and my energy into something that would change these particular constraints for other women. So that was actually, I guess that would be my aha moment, where I realized I can make an impact, and not just personally, but professionally. So I would say it was an evolution from more of a personal perspective to a professional perspective, and finding my place and how I could make that impact.